Just wanted to show you a little bit of bling. Here's our McLaren 720S down at the Lower Marlborough Fishing Pier. Just a nice way to see sunset and have a little bling before we get serious. Hey everybody, good morning. It's Wednesday morning. I'm not sure if anybody cares anymore, but it's Wednesday. It's September 25th. And I'm coming to you from Troy, New York. It's up near Albany. I'm coming to you from my son's house, sitting out here on his front porch. He's still asleep. I decided to do another video for you. Try to get another question answered. So this will be Q&A part 4. And this comes from you. We're only going to address one question today. And I have one more like this where the questions are kind of so good, I just want to stick to it. And hopefully everybody can benefit from the conversation. So as usual in these videos, I'm going to read you the question and then we'll just stop and talk about it. And I'll break it down as if it was my problem or my question and how I would attack it. It doesn't make it right for you, doesn't mean it's the only way, but again, this is how I would attack this problem. So here's the question. I'm at a position now with equity in my company where I have the potential to make a lot of money. However, I don't like my position. I don't enjoy my day-to-day work. I don't like my management. It's hard for me to have the proper perspective whether I'm being a baby because I'm not being truly challenged or whether the environment is really not worth the pay. I'm having a hard time deciding whether I should leave to find an opportunity in my city that I would enjoy, which might exist, but does not come with the equity and possibility of wealth at the end. So let's kind of review what we've got here. So far, I have equity, I have the potential to make a lot of money, I don't like my position, I don't enjoy my day-to-day work, I don't like my management, I'm not being challenged. There's a possibility of another opportunity in the city. I guess this is remotely located from you. So this thing kind of summarizes where we are. And so if you look at like, in this hand, I have equity that may be worth something, and I have the potential to make a lot of money. And in this hand, I've got, don't like my position, don't enjoy my day-to-day life, it's remote, it's not where I live, I'm not challenged, I don't like my management. So, wow, I mean, that's pretty weighty on the bad side and not real strong on the good side. So essentially, what I think you're trying to do is you're trying to learn a decision process. You're trying to decide, is the current situation I'm in versus a possible new situation, which is better? Which one should I pursue? So we're going to walk through, really I've got kind of 5 thoughts on how I would walk through this process if it were me having to make this decision. All right, so this is more, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you the decision I would make. I mean, I think this is more a video about making decisions and how we go about them. So I told you there's 5 things I want to talk about. Here's number 1. How the hell did you get here, right? These videos aren't, I'm not evaluating you, I'm not picking on you, but the question you really got to ask is, how the hell did you get here? We actually somehow got equity in a company, but, but you seem to hate it. So the questions I would ask is, what drew you in? What drew you to this? What changed? It seems to be remote. So kind of just stop for a minute and try to remove yourself from the result. And just ask yourself, what were the decisions I made? What were the things I looked at and didn't look at? What were the weaknesses in my thought processes as I got myself into this situation? Because whether you stay or go, you have to continue to make decisions. And one of the best things you can do is when you get in a situation that's a little rough is, how did I get here? They're called lessons learned, right? But they're only lessons learned if you stop and analyze them and then do something with them. So take a minute and ask yourself, how the hell did you get here? So also as part of step one, I want to ask you, what changed? Clearly something, if I came to you and said, hey, I've got a job that you're going to hate and a management team you're not going to like, and I'm not going to challenge you, and it's going to be located away from your home, that's not much of a sales pitch, right? So something changed from when you got involved in this to where we are today. So that's the second thing I'd ask you to do. It's still part of step one, but it's part of that. How did you get here? What drew you in? Just write it down, right? Don't just think this crap in your head. Sit down and write, here was what I was thinking, here is what I thought I was buying, kind of here's where we are, here's what's changed, here are my lessons learned. Write this stuff down. Commit it to yourself. You learn by writing, you learn by thinking, you learn through analysis. So really take some time and think through it. So part two is really more of an opinion, but I'll say from my experience, my life has taught me not to hate my daily life in the hope someday I'll make a lot of money. Trading life, time, and happiness, commitment for money, and not even for money. In this case, it's like the possibility of money, the potential for money. I don't even know how real that is, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But it's my experience that if it's a nebulous thing out there, and there's very little commitment to it, you don't really know what it is, it's the hope, it's the potential of money, it's the potential of real wealth. Those phrases have burned more people on this planet than just about anything else when you go into the entrepreneurial world. So I would caution you to trade your daily life for a year, for 5, for 10 years, I don't know. How long are you going to have to travel remotely? How long are you going to have to hate the team you work for? How long are you going to go unchallenged for the hope that you're going to make some money? To just put that out there. All right, so now we're doing part 3. The third part of my conversation with you about lessons learned. It has been my experience, my life has taught me that true success comes from sustained motion, sustained momentum in a similar direction. You want today to build on yesterday. You want next year to build on this year. And hopefully this year has been building on last year. If you're constantly changing and constantly restarting where you are, you're essentially resetting your trip. We're on a journey to financial independence, to a great life. And if you keep starting the journey over, you essentially are adding time. It's okay if you do it, but it's not free. Every time we change momentum, change direction, hop on a new dream or new idea, you're essentially resetting yourself back to the starting point on the journey. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you know you're doing it and realize there's a time cost to the decision. So the question, for part 3 here is it worth killing the momentum you've built with this situation to go start over with another one? I don't know if it is or not. Only you can decide that. And then if you make a switch, can you do so? Is it in the same industry? Is it similar services? Have the things you've learned truly be applicable in the new situation? Do customer relations transfer? Is it the same products? I just don't know. But can you move and maintain some of the motion and momentum you've already built in your life, particularly in the last couple of years? I don't know how old you are, and I don't know how long you've been in this situation, but can you leave and transfer or transition the last few years of your life to the next opportunity? All right, a little bit less about how we feel about things, and let's get a little more factual based. So we're now on number 4. The fourth of my 5 ideas that I would want to talk to is, let's evaluate the equity. How much do you have? Be specific. Do you have a controlling interest? Do you own 51% of this entity? Or are you more like token? Like, do you have like 2%, 5%, 10%? Are you essentially in the hope caboose of this company? Where you really don't have a controlling interest, you really don't have a lot of say into the strategic plan, you really don't have a lot of input into whether this thing is really going to fly or not. If it flies, if these other people make it take off, you have this small percentage, you'll get a piece of it. If you have a small percentage, it takes a lot of net sales when they sell the company to get you any real money. So you have to define what real money is, but it's got to sell for 100 million for you to get 4 or 5 million if you're in that lower range. So are you really in a $100 million company? Are you? I'm not saying you're not, just are you really? The other thought on your equity is it legal? Do you have a legal, are you named as a partner in the LLC documentations? Are you granted whatever percent it is, 5 or 10% or 51%? Are you named in a legal document that the owners and you have signed? Because you're now an owner. How many there are you? How many owners are there in this company? Have they all signed the documents? Do you have somebody you go to court with and sue for your 5% of the ownership if they sell? I don't want to hear a story about, handshakes and agreements and you've got a memorandum of agreement, or do you have legal ownership of your shares? I find that most people are kind of sucked in by ownership, or by the owners, the true owners, the drivers, the controllers of companies. They suck talent like you in by giving you 2 or 3 or 4%, but you have no way of controlling it. And so it's a way of kind of locking you in, locking your time, your talent, your commitments in, but not legally. I've seen people get burned that way. Okay, so now we're number 5. Okay, the last one. What is it worth? Do you have any idea? I'm kind of betting that you don't. I bet you have X% of some nebulous process of what this company might someday possibly, probably, could be potentially worth. And so right now, it's probably not worth anything or not worth much. But do the math. Do you have any idea what this number is worth? What was it worth last year? What is it worth today? What do you think it'll be worth in a year, in 3, in 5? And how do you know that? Are you shown numbers? Are you in the inside group of the ownership? Are you seeing the financials? Are you seeing details? Do you know the sales? Do you know the gross margin? Do you know the net income? Are you clear on the profitability? If you had 5% of that profitability, are you getting paid that 5%? Are you paid weekly, monthly, quarterly? When's the last time you got a 5% of the net income check? So do you really own it? How much do you own? And what's it worth to you? What's it really worth? Because you might not be giving up what you think. All right, I think I'm gonna leave it there. Those are my 5 parts to the decision. So in summary, you essentially have a first world problem. Do you stay with the company you own equity, or do you go find another great opportunity? It sounds like you might even have a lead on one already. First world problem, that's pretty cool. So either way you go, I think you'll be fine. You gotta learn from this, and you gotta get better at decision analysis, decision making. Don't get yourself back into this situation by going when you go to the next one. Truly learn from this. And then as you go through life, as you go through decisions, protect the momentum you've built. Okay, last part, we're out of here. Welcome to decision making. You have to get good at it. If you're gonna own a company, be the CEO, or play a major role, you've got to become good at decision making. And the problem with us making decisions is most people don't like to make decisions, because when you choose A, it closes off all the others. And so right now you have A and B, and you choose A, it's going to close B. And if you choose B, it's going to close A. You've got to make that decision though. So it closes doors and it closes opportunities, but you've got to make decisions, because then that allows you to focus. Then you can commit and focus on the decision you made. You get to commit and focus on the option you've selected and go all in on that. So again, this whole video, this whole response to the question is about how well do we make decisions. So good luck. I don't know if there's a bad one. That's just it. You may not. The problem is neither option might be better than the other. You just have to make a decision and go for it. You could regret it either way. So don't let regret run your decision. Never make a decision from a position of fear. Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you next time.